Hello and welcome to the C-NRPP course for new certified professionals. This course is intended for you to take when you are interested in starting the process of becoming certified. We're going to walk through the process and then as well as some important information about C-NRPP and karst as well as radon in Canada. I'm going to start with introducing ourselves. My name is Pam Workington. I'm the Executive Director, and I'm joined by Erin Curry, our Regional Director for karst and C-NRPP. We also wanted to share an important resource. One of the reasons many of us have gotten into this career is because of those that are impacted by lung cancer. There is a resource in case you're interested in hearing more stories that you can check out through the QR code. But also, as you go on your journey in working with radon, you're inevitably also going to interact with people who do have lung cancer. And so we wanted to start off by letting you know that this resource exists. And so as you do meet people that may either have had a loved one lost to lung cancer or they themselves have been diagnosed with lung cancer and they're looking for a place to share their story, there is a place that exists. And so you can reach out to us or you can contact the CR organization to connect them with them. All right. karst is our National Radon Association in Canada. We have been around since 2011. We were established with a goal to reduce radon risk in Canada. karst is the national association that really does represent, support, and assist radon professionals across the country. It provides outreach awareness, and then also it oversees the C-NRPP, which is our National Radon Certification Program. C-NRPP, or the Canadian National Radon Proficiency Program, is our national certification program. It was brought under karst through a collaboration with Health Canada. And so we continue in that collaboration today. C-NRPP is the national certification program, so it's responsible for the training programs and the evaluation of devices, and also the online certification listing and process. So really, C-NRPP establishes guidelines, standard of excellence, and best practices. And the C-NRPP is overseen by a policy advisory board, and there is a liaison from karst and and Health Canada on that policy advisory board to make sure that there is this collaboration among the three organizations. Health Canada continues to have a national radon program. They have done a national survey, but they have other resources that they've developed. They also have our guidance documents for measurement. And then they have supported us in development of the mitigation standards. They also, as I had mentioned, helped with development and establishment of C-NRPP and continue to provide funding and support to C-NRPP, and there's continual communication among the three organizations. Now, just to kind of start with the context, it is important to have you interested in providing services in Canada. Radon is responsible for 16% of all lung cancers in Canada, which translates to about 3,200 people are dying a year from radon-induced lung cancer. So it's a significant issue that many people are still yet unaware of. C-NRPP, as I've mentioned, is our national radon certification program, celebrating 12 years of providing certification to Canadian professionals. In Canada, we really are uniquely set up to have radon issues across our country. Not only do we have a source of radon, uranium is in our soil all across our country, but our homes are well sealed, resistant to the cold, which also provides conditions for radon to be elevated. So although as you go through, you'll notice that there are some regions that maybe have higher prevalence than others, elevated radon is a concern in all areas of our country. So there isn't a particular region where it is found. It is in all across our country. All right. So the purpose of a national certification program is four key things. Really is to provide consistent standards so that as part of your training programs that you'll go through, you will be trained to these standards and industry best practices. It's also important so that we can communicate with you about knowledge updates. As there is research or the standards are updated, it's important for you to keep up to date with this. And so we will have send out updates through communications, emails, online webinars, and such. And so it is important for you to, make sure that you're paying attention to those updates. We also do provide homeowner resources. So we are the connection for the homeowners to be able to find you. So through our online listing, homeowners can access that list to find you. And then another purpose is industry recognition. And so we are a trusted reference to various groups across the country so that they know when they're looking for a radon professional that they can find someone who is C-NRPP certified. Just to expand a little bit on this, part of the consistent standards are documentation and code of ethics. And so in your training, you will go through these, but we do have a CGSB standard for mitigation for both new construction and existing construction. Health Canada provides our guideline for measurement. So there is a guideline for measuring in residential situations or public buildings. Then there are additional C-NRPP documentation. So there is guidance for quality assurance, as well as the code of ethics. And so those are the three various locations and documentation types that you will encounter through your training. And you can find those they're all easily found on the C-NRPP and CARS websites. Another resource that I mentioned was this connection between homeowners and our certified professionals. And so on our C-NRPP website, you can find a list of professionals. And so we encourage you to go check it out. Homeowners can look for somebody based on a postal code, and there's various radius that they can expand to find somebody in that region, or they can search by province. And those two are based on the professional's address that is listed online. Another feature is they can search by region, service region. And so this is an opportunity for our C-NO professionals to say, over and above the areas where our home address is, you're able to service additional areas. And these are helpful for homeowners although we have C-NRPP for professionals in every province, we don't have them in every region. So this way you can let homeowners know that you're able to service those regions as well. Another important part of the interaction between C-NRPP and homeowners is the opportunity for them to raise concerns if they do have some. This is through our online complaint process, and we do have the code of ethics that you sign and a disciplinary policy. I'll walk through the steps so that you just understand this process if you ever come to it. But an important part of this is to understand that it is an education process. So part of the role of C-NRPP is to review and investigate both sides of the complaint. Sometimes education is needed for the homeowner. Sometimes they'll raise a complaint and maybe it's just a misunderstanding. Sometimes education is needed on the side of the certified professional. And that's our role, is to be able to help you, support you and support homeowners through this process. So when we do receive a complaint, our first action is to investigate both sides. We seek then, as I mentioned, to provide education to support both parties in finding a resolution. And then there is a disciplinary policy. So ultimately, if found, then there is a ethics committee that reviews the cases and provides recommendations, and those recommendations can include mandatory education or disciplinary actions as required. Right, Erin, I'll hand it off
Great.
to you.
Thanks, Pam. So Pam has been explaining how C-NRPP works, and as she introduced at the beginning, C-NRPP is really run by us, but by us at Karst. And Karst is the professional association for all of the radon professionals across the country. And Karst's mission is really to bring together individuals and organizations who want to help Canadians reduce their radon exposure and the risk of lung cancer from that radon. We provide a place where Canadians can find information, resources, and you, the professionals, to help them understand and how to reduce their radon risk. And we support our members with radon resources, opportunities to learn, access to standards and best practices, and a place to connect with other stakeholders across the country. Next slide, please. So Karst goals are defined by the board of directors. Our goals shift over time based on the priorities of our members as we go. So these were the goals that we had. These are still our goals. Um, and we're currently, the board has just gone through a very lengthy strategic planning process, and they're going to be communicating that new strategic plan to all the members over the coming months as we move through 2026. But currently our goals are to engage our members, advocate for the profession, maintain high standards of workmanship, and support with resources and partnerships. So I'll go through how we do those one by one. So engaging our members, so there's many ways for you to engage with your board of directors and with the broader Karst community and team. So one of those is town halls. Town hall meetings happen a couple of times a year, and that's an opportunity for members region by region to get together and chat online with the regional board members. And the board members will choose some pertinent topics, and it's also a place for you to raise your current concerns. Webinars and meetings are held throughout the year as well, either in the form of C-NRP expert cafes where we kind of raise pertinent topics and we have a couple of experts in, or we present a new standard or a new technical document. And it's just a place for C-NRP professionals to meet just exclusively amongst themselves and stay up to date. We also host in-person workshops and events. So we host an annual national conference that takes place in person that we move across the country year to year to make it accessible to different professionals. And we have in-person workshops in different provinces depending on the year. So if you keep your eyes open, there's lots of events, and these are great ways for you to connect and to learn and stay up to date. So that was member engagement. Advocating for the profession. So some examples of how we advocate for the profession. One of them is attending events. As you see in this image here, we have radon booths where we represent with different professional associations or special interest groups. But it's not limited to attending events. We also have working groups, we do webinars, we have all kinds of meetings, participate in building code committee meetings as well. We run awareness campaigns. And we also sometimes will develop a continuing education course for a certain professional group. So those are a few of the many ways that we advocate for the radon profession. Maintaining high standards is important. So as someone who has decided to become C-NRPP certified, you've gone to the trouble of training yourself appropriately and certifying yourself and ensuring that your work is top quality. So we owe it to you to ensure that those standards are maintained, that they're kept up to date, and that everyone who has the C-NRP certification is performing the radon work to the highest possible standard. So we keep standards up to date. So we update courses as the various standards change, whether those are building code standards, CGSB standards, Health Canada's guidance. We will update our courses and educate you. We also update the C-NRPP training mentorship program. We host those CNRP expert cafes, like I mentioned. We also communicate via technical bulletins that we'll issue to our professionals, or sometimes we elaborate technical bulletins that are for other professionals with whom you may interact as part of your work, or even with homeowners. We're always trying to develop tools to support our professionals as they conduct their work and communicate with their clients. And we make continued education training available to our professionals, whether it's through the conference, through webinars, through online courses. So that's how we maintain high standards. And finally, we support you and other associated groups with resources. So whether these are printed resources that you can order free of charge to distribute to your homeowners, clients, or other groups, a lot of our radon professionals do radon presentations as part of their work and just try to raise radon awareness. It's still something that the industry battles with. So those are printed resources. Like we say, you can order them and we'll ship them to you. We also have online resources, whether it's those continuing training courses for you or webinars for the general public. We've got a lot of different resources and informational resources available. Some of them are for the public, some of them are for other groups, some of them are just for you. We also have resources that make your work easier. Like at the top of the screen, you see a yellow sticker. We provide stickers for labeling radon mitigation systems and that type of thing. And we connect you with financial resources like new grant programs. Currently, there is a financial grant program that any Canadian can apply for, offered through the Canadian Lung Association. It is targeting lower to middle income Canadians or those with a lung cancer diagnosis. There's other regional grant programs that come and go, and so we try to keep you connected with what those are. Another way that we provide support is through partnerships. So historically and still to this day, one of the main challenges for radon professionals was finding professional liability insurance that properly covers your radon work. So as you add radon to your professional offerings, make sure we do mandate that all our radon mitigation professionals do have insurance. So you'll want to make sure that you are either covered with your existing insurer, and if not, we're pleased to be able to offer an insurance package through Navicord, which has very good rates. So you can inquire with us. We have information that will connect you with the insurer. Also, many of our members are running small businesses, and so something that's quite recently been added is a health benefit package for your employees. So through Green Shield, we've been able to negotiate packages for small businesses to allow you to offer medical, dental, travel, life insurance to your employees with a minimum of three of you and up. So you can inquire. This is a benefit of being a Karst member, of course. And through Rona, we have a professionals program, a discount buying program. So those are a couple of our partnerships that benefit you, our members.
Perfect. Thanks, Erin. I'll now walk through the different levels of certification and some background information there. Currently with C-NRPP, we have three levels of certification. Radon measurement professional. Those are individuals who are certified to deploy, retrieve radon detectors, and provide the measurement reports. From those, there is also a radon analytical lab in that category as well. Then we have radon mitigation professionals. These professionals are certified to interpret results, design and install radon reduction systems. Then we also have a certification for new construction, controlling radon in new Canadian homes, or our Crunch certification. This is for those that want to be trained on best practices for installing radon control systems in new residential construction. You can be certified in all three of these or in only one. If you are certified in radon mitigation professional, we do recommend that you consider adding the crunch certification sort of as an additional certification. But you can also be, if you're only interested in doing the new construction, then you may only be doing the crunch course. Okay, I'll go into a little bit more details about each of them. So if you're thinking of becoming radon measurement certified, these services involve measuring in radon or in public buildings, or sorry, radon in homes or in public buildings. Um, and the certification course will train you on the standards to follow for deploying and retrieving radon detectors, as well as which detectors are approved for professionals. And then also the steps involved in becoming an analytical lab. So we're not covering the steps for analytical labs in this course, but just to specify that there are additional steps if you are analyzing detectors and providing those reports. So if you are thinking of becoming a measurement professional, our recommendation is that you consider adding this into an additional service. Although radon is growing in Canada, it still isn't typically considered a standalone business just to provide radon measurement services. We don't think, you can earn a good living just doing this one service, but also in addition, by having additional services, you're probably being able to provide a well-rounded package for your homeowner's services. So considering adding radon measurements in to an existing business, maybe a home inspection or other services that you're offering where you're going into homes or you're interacting with commercial building managers and then offering them the service. The radon measurement courses will provide you training on radon measurement and those applicable information, but we do expect that you're coming in with some basic skills before starting the course. So we recommend that you have some basic algebra skills, ability to know how to, run and manage a business, some basic organizational skills. We also recommend that you have some strong communication skills. So you will have to be communicating with the public and explaining, next steps and results to them, your clients. And so it really is a very important part of being a radon professional is having good customer service and communication skills. We also won't go through in the certification courses how to set up a business. And so this may be, we have had various offerings in our continuation program in person to support some of these opportunities, but they aren't part of your training. And so you should consider how to set yourself up for success, and you might want to do some homework before getting into doing a certification program to think about how to organize yourself, and then certainly once you are trained, making sure that you price yourself properly and understand all the different aspects of things that are going to go into the cost of running a measurement or a mitigation business. And so we encourage you to check out your local competition in your geographic location, look at the radon data that's available and your potential market, as well as look at what your consumers are willing to pay. This does vary across our country, both rural urban divide as well as different provinces. And so check out your competition and your market. Then consider the costs of your time and your travel to placing radon measurement tests and providing your customers with service. There are often purchase lab fees included with the analysis, but you want to make sure that these are all included. If you are the one providing the analysis, this also takes time, and so you want to make sure that you price yourself properly. We in Canada measure radon using a 91-day test. And so it is important to make sure that you do communicate with your clients about how to integrate the long-term testing process. The 91 days, it is recommended to test during the heating season. And so, consider how you're going to build that into your business plan. And then, follow-up services. Are you going to interact with them afterwards and check in on them and those sorts of things? So think about how you're going to run your business and how you're going to set this up ahead of time, and then make sure that you price yourself appropriately. And then also develop marketing tools for yourself. So you do want to, think through these things so that you can set yourself up for a success right from the beginning. Also, really important to keep in mind that the word of mouth advertising is really powerful, and especially in radon, we've seen this be a really powerful way that radon gets out to neighbors. Often, when one person tests and goes through, finding out that they have radon and then mitigating, they're, really when it's a positive experience, they're really excited to tell their neighbors, and this is a really important part of, radon awareness in a community. So. Make sure you're keeping that in mind, that word of mouth advertising, and so providing customer services is an important part of that. We also want to draw your attention to the fact that there are different lengths of measurement. I already mentioned in Canada we recommend long-term testing. So our focus is on that. So you do need to make sure that you consider pricing your properly for this type of service. However, don't hide that there are different ways for people to test. There are short-term devices available. There are electronic radon monitors, and so you can find information about these through your courses, through communication with us. So we do have short-term guidelines available once you've been certified. If you're interested in checking that out, you can take a look at that. But again, we want to really affirm the fact that our focus is on long-term testing. And so you do need to find a business model that works for this type of testing. And when you're adding radon measurement into an existing service, think about how this long-term testing can be a good fit. We do have a list of professional devices that you can refer to. So it is on the C-NRPP website. You can take a look at that. It's publicly available. But when you are a C-NRPP measurement professional, it's understood that if you're providing services, that you are utilizing a professional level device. It may be that you can sell a homeowner device to a homeowner and they can test for themselves. But if you're the ones placing and providing a report, you do need to be using a professional level device. All right, so that's a measurement certification. If you're thinking of becoming certified for mitigation, then this involves going in and fixing home or buildings that do have elevated radon levels. Again, we recommend that this is an additional service. You may also already be providing services to homeowners, and this is a really great add-on. Another reason why this is good is because, again, in the course, you'll learn about radon mitigation, but we will expect that you come in with some skills. So think about the construction experience that you may have and how adding radon mitigation in will build on, your services and knowledge. Really, the value of the mitigation course is to build on your existing knowledge and teaching you about radon mitigation system design. Okay, so as I mentioned, we anticipate that you're coming in with some skills. These technical skills include the ability to use tools and drills. As part of radon mitigation, you will have to be drilling through concrete floor and through the wall. So if you don't have these skills, it's possible that you could hire subcontractors, but we're understanding that you'll have the ability to know, correct construction design and how to use tools and some basic renovation experience before coming into the radon mitigation course. You'll also need some mathematical ability, understanding algebra to be able to understand some of the calculations for measurement units, air pressure changes, and that sort of thing. And then also awareness of mechanical systems, including heat recovery ventilators or HRVs, some basic heating and cooling appliances, and basic systems in a home, residential home. Then, when you do take the radon mitigation course, the radon measurement course is a requirement, so a prerequisite. So, going into the radon mitigation course, it's also understood that you'll have some basic radon knowledge that you've learned from the measurement course. And so, to really understand the radon basics, measurement methods, and how it enters a building. All right. And then the other thing is we want to point out that it is important to understand that there's differences between Canada and the US. There's a lot of communication that goes across our border. So you may have learned or come across information and not sure, is this in the Canadian context or the American context? And so that is important to differentiate. But also it's important for you to know that there is differences and what some of the American aspect is, because your customers undoubtedly will be accessing this information as well. So to be able to help them understand that this is what we do in Canada, this is why we do it differently. So you can point that out. One of the really important differences is the measurement units. I mean, we're used to this every day in the grocery stores that things are in metric and in pounds and or inches and such, but this applies to radon as well. We do have a different unit on how we measure radon. It is quite a bit different than the American units, and so it's important to understand that. But over and above that, we also have different measurement durations. We have a different approach to mitigation. Our health-based approach is really that when it comes to reducing radon and radon mitigation, our goal is to reduce levels to as low as reasonably achievable. So we don't just want to get people down below the recommended guideline. We want to get their radon levels to as low as reasonably achievable. So that's an important difference as well. And in fact, Canada is a world leader in radon. We were, developed the subslab depressurization approach here, radon mitigation system. As you'll learn, we were first to research devices and create a quality testing program. Canada has a national radon program with our federal government, and we have a good relationship between growing the certification program and with our government. We also have building codes nationally that have been changed, and so we have been interacting with different radon associations around the world, with the European Radon Association as well as others, and to share and learn from each other. But we are proud to say that we are leading the way in many ways. Now, when it comes to radon mitigation, I've talked about some of the skills that you come in, but I think it's also really important before going into the course to understand that it is complicated. So radon mitigation, if you walk into a home and you take a look at a radon mitigation system, it really does look very simple. And we like to explain to homeowners that it is a simple system, easy to maintain. But the really important part is what goes into the install. And so typically it'll take a day to install a radon mitigation system in a home. But there's another number of things that go into that install and that you'll be trained on in your certification course. So there are basics in building science, understanding radon entry, as well as the system of a home and understanding how those air pressures differential across the slab, as well as things that impact that air pressure difference. It is also important to understand worker health and safety. Not only are you going in and doing, renovation work, so it's important to have a health and safety plan for your workers in any type of work that you're doing that involves tools and renovations. But when it comes to radon, you also need to make sure that you're protecting yourselves against elevated radon exposure. So you're going into homes that have elevated. You need to make sure that you're ventilating and protecting yourself from that elevated radon exposure as well. There are different construction techniques that have been part of the building code. So that's another thing that you do need to be aware of. How do you utilize a home that may already have a rough-in system in it? Or, what about a home that was built a while ago and has nothing? And the good news is a radon mitigation system can be installed effectively in a home regardless of the age and type of construction. But the course will help you understand all these different aspects of radon mitigation. The other thing we want to point out is that the radon measurement course is focused on residential techniques. And we do this purposely, regardless of whether you eventually are going to be installing systems in a residential context or a commercial building context. The reason we use a residential approach is that it'll help you understand radon entry concepts in a simplified environment. And so you'll learn how to mitigate radon from a residential standpoint, and the training will be all focused around a residential context. But then you'll be able to take that training and those concepts and integrate that with the information and training that you have in a commercial environment. So if you are looking at working in a commercial environment, the other thing to note is that we don't train you on that. There are other courses and other ways that you can learn that information. And so we anticipate that if you are offering your services and working in commercial eventually, that you will have those competencies from other areas, and also that you will have, there's needs to be different safety plans, different level of liability coverage, so that you'll be properly set up for working in that commercial environment. I talked earlier about the training or the standards that have been developed in Canada. And so the radon mitigation course will utilize those standards in your training. And in the course training as well as in the mentorship. The training is based on CGSB standards and includes proper radon diagnostics and designs as part of the installation of radon mitigation systems. And so our goal is, again, to reduce the radon levels in homes or in buildings to as low as reasonably achievable. And so we're not just trying to find the radon and fix where it's entering. We ultimately want to reduce the levels for all occupancy times. So when you fix it maybe for this season, but you ultimately want to consider the other seasons because that will impact pressure differentials. But then also you want to fix it for the entire footprint of the building. So not just for this one area, but the whole home or the whole building. And so as you go through taking the courses, keep that in mind. Our mitigation systems are very effective in Canada in reducing radon levels to really low levels. It is important to know that zero is not generally obtainable. There are background levels and different background levels across our country, but generally under 50 becquerels is considered background levels. When Health Canada did research on radon mitigation systems, they found that the most effective and the best reduction came when a homeowner hired a C-NRPP professional. And then we also have done research through our Take Action on Radon program and found that the average post-mitigation level is around 39 becquerels. So, really effective in reducing levels to homes to low levels. And so here's a few pictures and the concepts that you will learn about in your training. But we wanted to start off with just helping you understand a little bit about air pressures and the diagnostic process. And so as part of doing a radon mitigation system install, there will be a communication test that you'll have to conduct. There will be a calculations. So you're going to measure airflows and you're going to have to calculate airflows and friction loss through the system in order to determine the optimal fan size. So you will need some specialized tools for this process. And you will need them as for the mentorship process. So if you do not have these tools in your office, we do have a rental kit that is available, and there should be some information provided to you about that. But you will need either a shop vac or a fan method of moving air. You will need a micromanometer that can measure airflows, air pressures to a smaller degree. And then you will need to be able to, core through a concrete floor in order to install systems. So there is some specialized tools that you will need as part of a radon mitigation training, and then ultimately once you get into the work as well. All right, I'll hand it off to Erin to talk about the mentorship process.
Thank you, Pan. Okay, so as Pan mentioned, the mentorship process is part of your training if you are training to be a radon mitigation professional. So by the time you get to the mentorship process, you would have completed the measurement course and the mitigation course, and then you'd be moving on to the mentorship. So you'll find this diagram on our C-NRPP website, and each of these buttons is clickable. So basically, the flow chart for going through it is you sign up. If necessary, you sign up for that kit rental. The main piece of equipment is the that you really can't find elsewhere is that micromanometer that you saw in the previous images. So you can rent this from us and you can purchase this through us as well. And then you go through step by step, followed by your mentor. You'll do a mitigation scene survey, then you'll do a system design worksheet, a depressurization test report, and then kind of circling as required, you'll then have your completed mitigation. Um, the mentor will give you feedback at every step of this. So this is done at a distance and via online forms and submitted photos and worksheets. So I believe in the next slides, we're going to go through step by step a little bit. So the scene survey, we have these forms online. And so basically, the forms will walk you through the process, and it shouldn't be brand new to you because you will have gone through the course, and so you'll have an idea. And really, it's just that you learn so much on your first job that we instituted this mentorship process where the trainer will follow you step by step to guide you and answer questions as you go through your first job. We always recommend that you do your first job in what we call a friendly house. So one that you can go back to many times, because although once you are up and running, you're going to be doing mitigations in a day, during this first mentorship process, you're going to need to make a couple of return visits because you need to allow time for your mentor to review the photographs, ask you any questions, etc. So generally, doing your own house is a good idea, or the house of a family member or close friend. So you'll complete the online form, you'll submit your photos as requested to complete the scene survey, which is when you show up at the house and you're evaluating the house, you're taking the photos and you're doing your initial assessment. Next slide. So then we have the system design worksheet. So this will walk you through taking your initial measurements and doing the design of the mitigation system. A couple of slides ago, there was a slide that had an iceberg in the background. And we use this analogy because just like an iceberg where you see part of it up above the water's surface, we all know that most of the iceberg is hidden underneath the surface. So it's a common misconception that a radon mitigation system is a super simple to install because everyone can see it's just a little length of pipe and a fan. And that's really easy to install. And it's true. It's easy if you know how to cut and glue pipe and a fan and how to core holes through concrete. But what people don't see is all the design that goes into making that mitigation system effective and efficient. So for every single house, the system needs to be designed based on the operating pressures in that house, a lot of factors in the house. And that's what this process walks you through. So you'll complete the system design worksheet and you'll send it off to your mentor and they will give you feedback. Next slide, please. We then do a depressurization test report on the house, and the form will walk you through that process. We also have a free course video on depressurization that you'll view at that time. And then you'll move forward to the completed mitigation. You'll submit your photos to your mentor. And again, often at this point, there's a little bit of feedback, that they may ask why you did something a certain way. They may suggest little tweaks to your system, maybe elements that you forgot or that you could improve. And so it may go back and forth a little bit. And then ultimately your mentor should sign off your mitigation and you'll have completed your mentorship. I don't know if we have one more slide. So this whole process goes back and forth online through a series of forms and can how quickly the process goes is really kind of up to you. It can all be done over the course of a couple of days, or it could take longer depending on how much feedback is necessary and how much access you have to the house and how much time if you're working on this full time or if you're doing it in the evening after other jobs, sort of idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and Erin and I have interacted with professionals that are going through this process, and there is a variety level, skill level. So sometimes it's a bit challenging to get through the information, but ultimately we get a lot of great feedback on the process. So just really appreciating the fact that by going through, a friendly home where you have, you're going back and forth and you're working with the mentor to learn different aspects. It's really been a positive part of our training program. So, if you're just getting into it, sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming, but we want to, just encourage you that it's a great learning process. There's a lot of interactions that you'll have with your trainers. So you can also reach out to either Erin or myself through the process if need any information or encouragement. Sometimes you're not sure where to go next if you haven't heard back from your trainer. So we encourage you, anytime you reach out to your mentor, they're there to support you in the process. So if you haven't heard from them and you think you're waiting on them, they might be waiting on you. So, reach out. It is meant to be an interactive process between you and your mentor. Anytime you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to Erin and myself. And after you've done the completed mitigation forms and the mentor has signed off and said, yeah, you have completed, we will then get you to complete that evaluation form. And ultimately once you've completed that, it will send you your mentorship certificate. And then that communicates to you, to us, that you've, completed the process, you've got that certificate, and then you can apply for certification. So when you go to apply, you'll need that. And I'm going to walk you through the process of applying for certification next. So if you are taking the measurement or crunch course, it's a fairly simple process. You take the course. There is a national certification exam that you need to apply outside of the course. So the course might have kind of a final quiz or a test for you as practice, but then you will need to apply to C-NRPP to write the national certification exam. Once you've passed that exam, then there is a mandatory code of ethics course that you also need to complete, which you can actually do at any time through the process. But you'll need to submit your certificate from that code of ethics course on the application. So then there is an application form that you need to complete in order to become C-NRPP certified for measurement or for crunch. And then there are annual fees. And so then once we've reviewed your application and it's been approved, then we'll send you an invoice for the annual fee. Then when it comes to mitigation certification, there's just a couple extra steps. So again, you need to have the measurement course as a prerequisite. So if you're only interested in being certified for mitigation, you still need the measurement course completed. Then you do need to pass that national certification exam. And then also the mentorship. So there's a two-part kind of a practical exam with the mentorship, but then there's an online exam also to complete. We, kind of have this in a flow of the exam first, the mentorship second, because that's typically the way that people do it, but there's no requirement of one over the other. So you could do the mentorship before you do the exam. You could do the exam before the mentorship. That doesn't matter. What does matter is you have to complete both the measurement and the mitigation course requirements before doing either of these mentorship or the online exam. You also need to complete the code of ethics course if you didn't for the measurement. So you only need to do that once, but all the certifications do have that as a requirement. For the mitigation certification, there's also a mandatory insurance requirement. So you do need to make sure that you obtain that insurance prior to certifying. So we will need the documentation from you confirming that coverage. And then there is an online application that you need to complete. So if you are already certified as a measurement professional, then you just need to complete that application again to add on the mitigation. If now you are applying for the first time, you just need to complete all those things for both certifications. And then again, once you've completed the certification online form, then there are annual fees to complete. And so then after that, there is renewal. So there's an annual fee, but there is renewal requirements every 2 years. And so these renewal is a set date. So every July 1st is a renewal. And so it will be set, 2 years after your application. And then that will be kind of your renewal term. So it'll either be every even year or every odd year, just depending on that. The requirement for renewal involves completing an application form. And on this application form, you'll need to submit your supporting credits. You are required to complete 20 credits, and those 20 credits are made up of, two components. One is for approved credits or C-NRPP approved credits. And any mandatory course that's required will be within those 4 credits. So currently we do have a mandatory course for our renewals. And so, you just need to check the requirements at that time and see if there is any mandatory ones this year, but it will fit and be included in those 4 credits. And then the remaining 16 professional practice credits come from various categories. And really, we've designed the renewal program around the whole concept that our professionals are cross-certified. So you may be doing work in other services and that sort of thing. And so if you're taking courses in other work, you can use those as part of your professional development credits. But it's also designed in a way to give you credit for, supporting the industry. So if you participate in committees, if you're on the board of directors, or maybe you just show up and help to provide some hours for some of the workshops or working groups that are happening, you can use those as credits as well. If you're going out and telling people about Radon, we need your help, and it's a great way to build your business is to go out and do radon presentations. And so we'll give you credits for that as well. And so there are a number of categories, 4 categories that you can get credits from. And we do need to have at least 2 different categories. You also can get credits from hands-on work. So if you're doing, measurements or mitigations, you can use up to 10 credits can come from those hands-on work. So the whole program has been designed to have a level of flexibility in it and really to encourage you in these different areas. Sometimes people will look at all the different categories and get a little bit overwhelmed thinking they have to do everything. But I just want to, set the tone a little bit differently for you and say, hey, we've developed this to have a lot of flexibility. And so it's not meant to be complicated, but it's meant to be flexible and encouraging to give you credits for, all sorts of different areas that you might be working in. So again, when it comes to renewal, you will need to complete the renewal form. So you don't have to wait to renewal time to do the credits all at the 2-year term. We encourage you to do these credits right from when you start your certification through, up into your next renewal term, so that when it comes to renew that form, you can upload the course certificates or the requirements that you need for the form. And then again, once we have processed your renewal, then you can complete that application form. And so here's just some of the more information about these various categories that I talked about. So you can take professional development, courses. This might be radon specific. It might be, have to do with your HVAC course, or maybe some asbestos training that you're doing, or maybe it's, how to keep track of your books, or maybe some, mental wellness workshops. So we really do provide a lot of flexibility in the credits. So you can 1 hour of course is equal to 1 credit. Again, you can also get up to 10 credits for hands-on work. So we do need to get you to provide some proof of work with that. So you can take a look at what the requirements are on the application form. And then you also can get credits for community outreach and awareness, radon industry participation. And so we do like to try and communicate with you about various things that are going on. We provide some supporting documentation to help you with radon awareness or with some of the various work that you might be doing. Make sure that you're receiving our emails. So on your Karst account, this is where you will sign up for events and you'll be receiving emails. Make sure that you've opted in to receive our emails and that you're reading those. We also do have various groups that support each other, so you can join those as well. And then also various events. So whether they're online or in person, these are great opportunities to network and then hear what's going on in your area. So make sure that you take part in these events as well. And yeah, so those are, some of the information about the renewal. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time and the interest in this. We hope that you will continue on in your process of becoming C-NRPP certified. We think that you'll find working in radon is a worthwhile cause. It is a great group of people. Erin and I have been with C-NRPP for many years now, and I think that's one thing we can say, that we are always encouraged when we get together with these radon events and interact with, our radon professionals, that so many of them are willing to share their expertise with each other, network, encourage. It's a really encouraging group. So we're here to support you as needed. But yeah, we're really looking forward to having you be able to provide homeowners with the services that they need to protect themselves from lung cancer. So thanks, Erin, for helping me with this course and encouraging our new C-NRPP professionals. And thank you all for taking the time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.